Hey, it's Debbie, and I have been working on my me screen test results. This is the testing kit if you're watching the video. Simple at-home test, mitochondria efficiency test. It comes in this very organized kit with an app to follow the directions on me screen, how to measure your mitochondria function. First test ever. So to correlate the data, what does it mean? I, as a nutritional therapy practitioner, as well as FDN practitioner, where I'm a health investigator, understanding what's going on by putting all this information together to help figure out what you should do. Now, using myself as an example, I wanted to share my screen to go over my results. So, as a practitioner, using myself as a guinea pig, I got my test report back. Okay, so me screen, we did some videos on this already. The test itself is just a blood drip on a card, 4 different samples, and we went over them on the YouTube channel with Dr. Patel. And what I've been diving into is if it me, the client, my background with energy dysfunction, so to speak, my history with adrenal exhaustion, which isn't correct terminology, but chronic stress disease. I simplify it as metabolic chaos that started in 2013 for me. Doing too much of everything, I say, can lead to imbalances, dysfunction, and really looking at what's going on at a cellular level, which is why I focus on my podcast to figure out, as I am in middle age now, one, why did this happen to me 10 years ago or so? 5 years ago, I changed my life to improve quality of life living up in North San Diego. I am surrounded by nature. And why can other people push through doing too much of everything and survive? I was not thriving. I had my own issues, but why? I looked at my genetics and looking at other tests I have not done recently, but previously organic acids test, as well as a Dutch hormone panel. And I just have done blood chemistry testing, which I'm doing pretty much every 3 to 4 months because I am taking a thyroid T3 medication now, estrogen and progesterone. As I am suddenly 53, almost 54 years old, even though I think I'm 45. So when I got my me screen test back, I was very interested. Now, if we tie the data together that we get from my test results as the patient, the client, I'm not a doctor, I'm a health investigator, looking at the history of my journey, life is not a race, it is a journey, connecting the hormone, HP axis dysfunction, or we call it adrenal exhaustion, call it whatever you want to call it, too much stress, chronic stress, not acute stress, with the cell danger response theory, looking at the other video I did, reading more from, say, Dr. Jockers. I just had a great podcast I listened to from Dr. Josh Axe and talking about the cell danger response. So here's an image on Dr. Axe's. He had a episode 512, the cell danger response and the mitochondria function in healing with hormesis with Ari Whitten. Ari Whitten is the person who was actually near me in Solana Beach, but I've never met him. The energy blueprint I came across years ago when I started to be curious, why me? What's going on? And what is the link of my chronic stress and total domino effect of breakdown on my internal body systems and burning them out, so to speak? How's that impacting my energy as I had a lot of red flags? Of course, that sleep, you're the tired but wired. I had no energy. I could not bike ride. And I had all this happen after being in the best shape of my life and being prime in my athletic career as an endurance athlete. But what is the connection of all this? Mitochondria dysfunction and chronic stress. So when we look at the cell danger response, I went into that a little bit, but think of how it's related to mitochondria function, then we'll tie in my me screen results. Now, cell danger response, CDR, relates to mitochondria function as mitochondria down-regulate energy production, your ATP, in all cells of your body but red blood cells, upregulate reactive oxygen species and immune signals when a threat is detected. Now, remember that threat can be real threat that you're struggling to survive. Someone's attacking you, you're going to get killed, or I'm late for a meeting and I panic when I'm late, or I am working in a toxic environment, or I just ate something that I'm reactive to. But have that happen, one thing after another, that cycle continues. So cell danger response, talking about the shift from oxidative phosphorylation, which is another reason I think PNOE metabolism testing is another data we can collect from doing your resting metabolic rate and your exercise metabolism tests, looking at this shift in fat metabolism or oxidative phosphorylation to being a sugar burner using glycolysis, and the role that the mitochondria play when we have danger. And the mitochondria in the cell danger response theory are the ones sending signals and alerting the immune system. So, understanding this, I'm just going through what I'm researching because I'm curious how this all ties together. So, prolonged chronic stress is prolonging your cells, your mitochondria, to be in cell danger response. It says this can lead to low energy, chronic fatigue, oxidative stress, which speeds up aging too, impaired mitochondria biogenesis, and blocked metabolic flexibility, which means you're not able to be burning fat. You're stuck more in carb burning and you're not flexible at fat to carb, fat to carb. And then how is this connected to the stress response? So chronically being in the cell danger response, it says, based on Robert Naveau's report, which I shared in the other video on his perspective of the cell danger response connected to mitochondria signaling, creating energy, that the connection of the mitochondria and our hormone adrenal function is really the hypothalamus sending signal to pituitary to adrenals. This is all disrupted. So our mitochondria perhaps are the ones sending the alert, not the hypothalamus is interpreting, or is it the amygdala interpreting we are in emergency mode. Everybody is frozen or shut down to minimal level, which is what I often think about is our battery. If your battery, say your cell phone, is on low battery mode because you haven't charged it for a while, and then it says put on energy saving mode. That's what your body's doing, I feel, when we look at this cell danger response, when our body is under chronic stress, putting our cells on low battery mode. Save that battery, what we have to survive. So this can all lead to what we look on your Dutch test, dysregulated cortisol rhythm, which means you might wake up kind of feeling, I'm not feeling great. And then afternoon, you might be as myself. I used to be so tired and have these big hour-long naps in the afternoon. And then nighttime, I was wide awake at 2 a.m. So you might have this dysregulation of your cortisol to melatonin. We may see DHA to cortisol ratio. You might be in breakdown. As when I had my biggest changes when this first started happening to me in 2013, I've said this, I gained literally 30 pounds in 3 months without changing anything with food. I wasn't able to exercise the way I was, but I wasn't able to eat either of most foods because I had this, I think, insulin resistance and wasn't able to eat any sugar. But on the other hand, I look back, I was super strict keto, low carb, focusing on a high fat diet, not getting my protein back then. This can also impact our sleep, mood, and this whole metabolic slowdown. Now, when we do functional lab testing as an FDN practitioner, we like to test and not guess. Yes, I will look at your signs and symptoms. I do nutritional therapy report using what's called the whole practice. and look at your signs and symptoms, how they correlate that with your body functions. Now, when we can't afford testing, a Dutch test is really helpful. Looking at your me screen test, we'll go over my results in a moment and see patterns all together. So I kind of throw this together. Now we're also looking at organic acids tested, ideally, if we can order one of those, as well as looking at your blood chemistry panel and genetics. So what I'm looking at all is this, these different lab tests to work on figuring out where are you, what's going on, what's driving that cell danger response. What is blocking this cell danger response progression and getting you out of that save battery mode? How do we recharge the cells? How do we get them functioning at 100%, right? So think of that again as your cell phone battery. Can I just plug myself in and get my battery in my phone to charge at 100% and not keep wearing down so fast? Like my iPad, I keep having to charge it all the time. It goes down to zero super fast. So what's holding it back? Are there other programs operating in the background that's sucking up energy? Well, think of that with your body. What's sucking up the energy and allowing the body to put everything on the cell danger response mode? So the core concepts on the report from David Naveau at UCSD, the theory is looking at ancient cellular defense mechanisms triggered by threats, as threats can be toxins, infections, trauma, stress. It cannot be turned off until the cell perceives safety and receives that all clear signal. So is that the amygdala? We talked to Jody Cohen. We'll talk to her in July. But when healing is blocked, it's when the cell danger response remains stuck. We're frozen. We can't do anything. We're told by the head commander we are going to be on low battery level. This can lead to chronic disease and dysfunction in the body. Now, looking at the role of the mitochondria here in my notes, mitochondria act as sensors. They're detecting chemical, microbes, physical changes. In the response to threat, in the cell danger response theory, it's suggesting that the mitochondria shift from creating energy to focusing on signaling the immune system. Release extracellular ATP as a danger signal, and they alter the integrity in the body in redox state. Cell danger response says it impacts these mitochondria proteins, and this can influence inflammation, your microbiome, metabolism, epigenetics, neuroendocrine balance. So how do we connect this together with my history of what my book, Life is Not a Race, It is a Journey, and my personal story and struggle with this chronic fatigue, looking at the role of cortisol? So how do we connect the dots here and see this pattern of our hormone imbalance? The brain perceived stress reinforces cell danger response with this autonomic feedback loop. So it's this, like you're playing a good song that you like and you put it on repeat and it doesn't stop playing until you push stop. This locks the system into chronic threat mode. So how do we know if you are in chronic threat mode? How do I know I'm still on 10% battery? We test ideally. We can support the foundations. We want to look at that cell membrane health, make sure we're doing a smashed fish diet, or like I'm not doing that. So I need to supplement with essential fatty acids that are from good, clean source of small fish. Or you eat smashed fish diet every day if you are into sardines, mackerel, herring, salmon, wild caught, not farm raised. Now, the me screen test I went over, and I'll review it again, is a brand new test out January 2025. Gives us direct insight, first ever, on our efficiency. They're actually testing our cells in the mitochondria in the cells at rest and then so-called exercise. They're stressing the mitochondria and see how they respond. So we can tell if we have low mitochondrial energy, are we stuck in the cell danger response threat mode? Is my battery working at 10%? My operating system is not functioning at 100%. I'm on cell danger response mode. Maybe it's 10%. High oxidative stress, cellular defense active, poor membrane potential, or network resiliency can show us that we have unresolved cellular stress even 10 years later. It can be trauma. It can be my past training and running my own business. And financially, I was stressed running the business as well as teaching clients and doing all the classes and being busy and always being in stress mode because I get overwhelmed easily and stressed if I don't do things right all day, every day for 10 years. On top of that, I was training for Ironman at a top age group level. I wanted to win my age group. If we run another test, organic acids test is something we've been working on for a while, testing people when they have insights of mold or candida, mitochondrial dysfunction, we can run this test. They're all about $300 something. So it costs money. We can look at environmental toxins. We can look at trauma combined with stress on your cells and pollution. And Dr. Naveau talks about children are canaries in the coal mine, most vulnerable to chemical and emotional exposures. We can look to cell danger response, connection to autism, ADHD, PTSD, chronic fatigue, anxiety, depression. This cellular anxiety can manifest, as he talks about in his article, social withdrawal, think the pandemic, obsessive behaviors, violence, addiction. So they've said that cell danger response can alter brain chemistry and memory processing to maintain that threat awareness. So connection to maladaptive healing due to unresolved chronic cell stress, right? Cell danger response. Healing cannot proceed until the cellular perception of safety is restored. I think that's key part here. So looking at what to do, supporting cell danger response clinically is reducing, obviously, environmental triggers, toxins, infections, mold, psychological stress, restore safety, sleep, community, clean food, detox support, feed your body, nourish those cells. It's not just what we eat, but how we eat it. Are you eating mindfully in a parasympathetic rest and digest state? Are you sleeping properly so you can have that detox housekeeping service come sweep your room clean, your internal housekeeping? We want to support our mitochondria, but have them eliminate the damaged, dysfunctioning mitochondria and bring up the ability to increase or make new mitochondria biogenesis. Do we have the ingredients necessary to create new mitochondria functioning at optimal level? Can we reset that battery charger so our body cells are now functioning at 100%? We may need to work on trauma release. Jody will talk about from Vibrant Blue Oils because she lost her son in a car accident with his little friend and her ex-husband. Vagus activation, nutrient repletion, red light, sauna, all these different things. So that was what we want to look at. Now let's hop back to my report summary. As I went over, this is the actual report I got from eScreen. We're looking at energy output and energy efficiency. What that means is how much energy your mitochondria produce and whether your cells perform at full capacity or under strain. Metabolic balance, that's whether your body is efficiently using mitochondria for energy or is it over relying on glycolysis, carbohydrate glucose metabolism, very less sustainable way. And also that creates more oxidative stress, the next marker. Are our mitochondria generating too much reactive oxygen species? Remember the Goldilocks effect for everything, not too much, not too little, the right amount. At optimal levels for healthy cell signaling, but not too much that could cause cellular damage. And then the fourth category is mitochondria network integrity. How well do my mitochondria communicate with each other? How well do they adapt and maintain resiliency when they are under stress? This is a key indicator of cellular longevity. So, with this program, tying in the me screen test, nutrition, lifestyle, supplement suggestions based on your own unique results to support your mitochondria to be at optimal level, to perform your best in life as you age. I will be redoing this test every 3 to 4 months to see, is what I'm doing based on this report improving my cellular level. If you are passionate, as I am, obviously, on improving how I age to be fit and healthy from the inside out at a cellular level, how do you know if you're doing all the right things? Because I was not. And we'll see my results here next. So let's go to my results. My page report summary is what I've been sharing. I had basically, and short story, membrane vulnerability is what I have, resulting from, guess what? Chronic stress, nutrient depletion, toxin exposure, or unresolved inflammation. The mitochondrial network, our structural and signaling architecture, that the connection linking all the mitochondria together, if this network becomes fragmented or overactive when the membrane lipids are damaged, this is creating inefficiency in transferring energy in that electron transport chain, the train car to the next train, increase the susceptibility to oxidative injury, to communication breakdowns, and affecting everything from hormone production to our immune response. So my report suggests that my mitochondria are still functionally capable, but they are the structural foundation is compromised. So my solution, again, you cannot out supplement poor lifestyle habits and out exercise nutrition habits. I need to support my lipid architecture, redox stabilization to prevent progression to be in more an advanced state of dysfunction. So what they suggested, Dr. Patel said, phase 1. So I just started it. Let's see, it's middle June. So June, July, August, September. I will be working on reinforcing my cell membranes. Lipid is fat. So I need to focus. Not everyone should do this. Sometimes your results could be totally different because this is where I did not score well. Phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidylserine to improve my membrane integrity. Remember, this is why healthy fats are so important for your body to be fit and healthy at a cellular level. Your cell wall membranes are made of fat. So I need to up my omega-3s from EPA and DHA, and this goes with my genetics. I don't convert the plant-based omegas very well, so I'm best to have the fish source. Now they say 1.5 to 2 grams a day, but I've read more 3 to 5 grams a day is good if I have more inflammation. Buffer membrane fluidity and reduce network fragmentation. Focus on those healthy fats as avocados, pasture eggs, sardines, olive oil, and making sure we can properly digest them. So perhaps taking some digestive enzymes, maybe some more bile support, and looking at antioxidants as vitamin E stabilizes the mitochondrial membranes and prevent fat oxidation, lipid peroxidation. And then phase 2, so say, let's see, September, October, November, December, I continue doing that, but then I can start adding in what people always ask me about. Do I need mitochondria support? PQQ, urolithin A. It doesn't work to start here with PQQ in urolithin A until I fix my cell membrane. So there's an order of operations we want to follow. Okay, so this is my report. I'm just sharing you my results. So what I like to do is put it all together so you can look at your report here on me screen I put it into a Word document and put all this information together and look at how this is related and how the mitochondria are just more than powerhouses. We go into the other podcast about this, how the mitochondria are impacted by chronic stress, overtraining, under recovery. We mentioned environmental toxins as mold, heavy metals, pesticides, nutrient depletion from poor diet or gut dysfunction, circadian misalignment, late night, blue light, jet lag. These can all lead to subclinical mitochondrial dysfunction long before the disease shows up. So this is why getting testing done. So I'm not going to the advanced. I'm dysfunctional, but I'm not all the way over to the serious range. So I'm getting ahead of it. Don't wait until you're sick. So the me screen test is going to help create these 4 categories I talked about. Energy output and efficiency to assess how well your mitochondria produce energy at rest and under stress. They will measure the energy capacity, mitochondria density, and how efficiently oxygen is turned into usable energy versus being lost as heat or as reactive oxygen species. If you score low in this category, that will connect. Remember, we don't treat lab results, we treat the whole person. Fatigue, slow recovery, mood instability. Now, if we look at metabolic balance, we're measuring your preference for fat-based fat metabolism, aerobic, your zone 2, where you're burning the most fat, zone 1, zone 2, versus more sugar-based glycolytic energy. If I do your Pinoy metabolism test and we identify that you're burning mostly carbohydrates even at rest, this is a good connection to your me screen test. If you struggle with weight loss, you can't seem to figure out why you're not burning fat, we can put all these clues together. High glycolysis reliance means that you're burning more carbohydrates. You might have this blood sugar up and down, these crashes, and you struggle with endurance because you're burning carbohydrates and you have to eat all the time. This is often seen in overtrained athletes that are probably doing too much carbs and too long. They're having this blood sugar instability and stress-induced HPA axis dysfunction. Third category, we discuss oxidative stress. This is measuring how much reactive oxygen species are your mitochondria generating at rest and under stress. Remember, the reactive oxygen species are natural byproducts of energy metabolism, but in excess, they damage DNA, the lipids, and the proteins. Is that Goldilocks effect? A balanced reactive oxygen species is vital for signal adaptation, but excess leads to inflammation, brain fog, breakdown. Then the last category is mitochondria network. How well do your mitochondria all communicate together? Remember, we have thousands of mitochondria in each cell. So healthy mitochondria fuse together and they share resources and then they divide to remove damage. So we want to talk about mitochondria biogenesis and mitochondria cell autophagy. High stress, toxicity, inflammation can lead to this fragmentation. This leads to and connects to poor stress tolerance, reduced resiliency, and what I had, cellular burnout. Now, why does this matter to you? If you're concerned about how you age, you're athlete or non-athlete, you're just trying to be fit and healthy and improve your future you, we want to look at this history of chronic stress, your adrenals, your cortisol levels, your hormones in general, mold toxicity, chronic stress, fatigue, poor performance, inability to get that fat off. This gives us specific information, correlating it with your other labs to help figure out where to be. So that's what I'm working on. I'll put all these notes in the blog on wpots.net. But looking at this hidden link between chronic stress and mitochondria and what I was talking about, this cell danger response that Dr. Robert Naveau and UCSD created years ago. And I started paying attention to this when I was looking for help with Dr. Robert Naveau's research that the energy blueprint finder Ari Whitten shared in his program. Now, cell danger response is initial threats detected as it's overtraining or if it's mold, toxins, infection. And then Your mitochondria reduce the energy. They go into that 100% mode as your cell phone to 10%. They stop producing energy efficiently to conserve resources, and they signal danger. Now we have this reactive oxygen species. Oxidative stress is increased. They're signaling this immune activation, this immune response. We have inflammation. The mitochondria network fragments, the cell membrane, which my problem is less fluid. So this is what's looking at this whole process. Next, we have this metabolic effect. We're not able to burn fat. We're now going to more carbohydrate dependency, metabolic shifting into glycolysis. Then we have this hormone, neurotransmitter, and immune signaling impairment. Our communication system shuts down. Unless the danger is removed, the mitochondria will then restore function, but recovery is blocked until we identify these sources of danger, right? So I like this last part here. This cellular freeze mirrors your me screen results. And then we can look at this, the mitochondria in your Dutch organic acids test, and look at your Dutch test and look at your blood chemistry. You still have capacity in my test results, but I'm leaking energy. I have low mitochondria efficiency and low energy ratio. This is my results. My network is fragmented. I have high meta-network dynamics at rest and under stress. My reactive oxygen species is borderline elevated, so I need to get ahead of it and have more oxidative stress, antioxidants, more oxidative stress support, less oxidative stress, and more antioxidants, which signals an active stress response when the ROS is elevated. I'm relying more on glycolysis, which is where that part I changed a little bit doing some investigation. It's that I'm not able to burn carbohydrates when I need to when I'm doing sprint interval training. So metabolic chaos, as FDN practitioners, we say, is the whole domino effect. How everything's connected. Your body's all working together as an orchestra. We call it metabolic harmony. The combination of being in fight or flight, sympathetic dominance, incomplete recovery from workouts. You might have more inflammatory burden as mold, toxins, working in a chemical environment as a hair salon or shoe store, as I said. Your hormones are low thyroid, low estrogen, low testosterone. Your nutrients are depleted. You're not getting the food in, you're not breaking down, you're not absorbing those nutrients. Why is that? Often it could be digestive enzymes, it could be HCl betaine, H. pylori, it could be all sorts of different things as bile and not breaking down the fats and getting that vitamin A, D, E, and K or fat soluble vitamins. So this all leads to this state of we call metabolic chaos, is where the body's operating system is working inefficiently. Your computer has this control alternate delete button, right? We push that when the computer is not working. We need to reset and reboot and get it functioning optimal level. We need to do that to our own body periodically. Am I running on full capacity? What's holding me back and putting me in this cell danger response mode? So even if I'm no longer stressed, says I don't feel stressed now, even though I started a new job and it's stressing me out, I'm still, previous to my new job, signaling my body that I have danger internally. So as an FDN practitioner, we talk about external sources of chronic stress on top of hidden sources of chronic stress that we don't know about unless we test. So it's testing and not guessing. Hormones, immune system, detoxification system, digestion, energy system, and nervous systems all are impacted. So we want to look at repairing the mitochondria. My phase one I'm talking about is this lipid repair to restore membrane flexibility and signaling. Getting my omega-3s to help reduce inflammation and vitamin E's to reduce oxidative damage, antioxidants. Next phase will be adding in the mitochondria nutrients as PQQ and looking at what I need to do to support my mitochondria biogenesis and get rid of the dead damaged one in cell autophagy of my mitochondria. Movement and mitohormesis, creating new mitochondria. I can do So retraining my mitochondria to adapt and not be in this panic state. So if you're curious about that and this whole dig deep correlation, and then looking at all of your answers as I put together, all right, what do my genetics say? Why do I have more problems than someone else? Is my liver congested? Am I not having good conversion of fat to use that to help my cell membrane? What's going on with my immune system? I'm looking at my environment, looking at my hormones as my hormones are lower as I'm perimenopause, and mitochondria, cortisol, DHEA, testosterone, looking at the connection here of my hormones. So the conversion of cholesterol to pregnenolone and looking at the enzymes involved in that, and how does mitochondria dysfunction, low mitochondrial health relate to poor hormone output, relates to fatigue, mood, recovery, dysregulated stress response. So I look at that, and then regulation of your hormones and mitochondria with your health and your mood, your brain fog. So understanding the mitochondria play a role in all areas of your body, including longevity, obviously, and aging. So looking at oxidative stress, ATP production, aging mitochondria, get rid of the damaged one, what we need to support, what pathways, and how mitochondrial resiliency improves my performance, mental clarity, my resistance to age-related diseases. So final thought, if my own experience to so-called adrenal exhaustion wasn't just about my adrenals, it's a system-wide cellular response to an accumulation of danger signals triggered by years of high output in life, not just athletics, but the way I lived life until I moved here and tried to reset without enough cellular repair. So my me screen results and my blood work and my genetics and my Dutch and my oats test can confirm that my mitochondria are still capable. I'm not at a total mess, but they do need permission to come out of defense mode. So I'm not operating 100%. So you don't know what you don't know. I feel good, but I don't know sometimes. I say this to clients, you don't know how good you can feel. So you might be settling for this is how I feel. You might be blaming aging process. You might say, this is as good as it gets. No, I don't believe that. And I think getting older is an excuse. I'm going to have this brain fog. I'm going to have memory issues. I'm going to have problems with muscle loss, sarcopenia. So if we address this foundational layer, for me, it's my cell membranes to reclaim my energy and performance, but more importantly, how I'm aging to be my future you. My future you personal program is starting with the cell membrane and then supporting my mitochondria in 2-3 months, and then seeing what my results are retesting. So addressing this foundation, phase 1, so I can thrive, I can adapt and age with strength and clarity and vibrancy. I want to thrive and not struggle when I'm older. I want to be in my prime when I'm older. So check out me screen results. This is kind of, I'll put these links on debbiepotts.net and the notes I put in. You can look at the energy blueprint and look at Ari Witten's interviews, but the cell danger response, healthy cell, and how the role of the mitochondria for health and longevity is really something I feel that we should be looking at. And as a health investigator, health practitioner, is looking at the role of mitochondria for aging, resiliency, prevent chronic diseases, and looking at long-term aging to be fit and healthy at a future self, for the future you. It's hormesis, mild stress, acute stress versus chronic stress. So listening to these different episodes, I will listen to the cell danger response. I need to find this one I found when I was researching cell danger response in Ari, because he's the one that got me into this about 10 years ago. So let me know your thoughts, your questions. If you want to deep dive into your health optimization program to be the best version of yourself in the future, I'm calling it the Future You Program, creating metabolic harmony at a cellular level. Let's get started before you become dysfunctional and not feeling great. You're running at 10% battery, not 110%. So dive in deep with me. Head to debbiepotts.net and we will talk. Talk soon. Thanks for listening.